Hi, welcome back to the channel. I'm Michelle, and today I'm going to be sharing my end of the year review for my 5th graders, so my 11-year-old daughter. So if you're new to my channel, this is our 3rd year of homeschooling. She did go to public school K through 2nd. I brought her home in 3rd grade. So I'm going to talk about how this year went. So everything went really well. Everything I planned to do, we accomplished. I even added some more, and I will share that in the end. And that is not to say that this year was not without certain struggles. I did do a video a little less than halfway through the year talking about 5th grade struggles. And this age, you're just going to get a little bit more attitude. You're going to get a little bit more lack of motivation. And that's completely age appropriate. And I do talk about in that video how I handled those situations. And I have to say, the rest of the year, the majority of the year went really well. Did we have moments of attitude? Absolutely, completely normal. Did we have moments of frustration? Absolutely, and I'm going to talk about that a little more when I go through specific curriculum. But I want you to understand that, me being able to make a plan, execute that plan, and it go really well and see the growth of my child wasn't accidental. It was very intentional, the things I planned, the research I did on the curriculum we used, but also the scaffolding and scheduling I provided for my 11-year-old. So even when she's having those off days, she knows where she should be or what she has to do and has less of me. She has more say in her work, and I think that helps less mom telling you what to do. And she feels like she has more control over the situation, which I think is really helpful at this age. So let's get into it. So the first thing I'm going to go over is language arts, which is by far her largest subject. And that's just because it's her favorite area. Anything I put in front of this kid, she gobbles up. She constantly reads. She went into kindergarten, reading chapter books already. So finding things to challenge her is always difficult. But we did Lighting Literature grade 5 this year, and it went really well. Again, I like Lighting Literature. It's something we've used since 3rd grade, and it's gone well each year, and we will continue to use it until I notice that it's not going well or something else is going on. But I do like how it becomes more independent as the ages go up or the grade levels go up. So she was able to do this with very little of my help, and I have to say that because she is a very independent, motivated child, but she's also very good in the language arts field. So she doesn't need hand-holding and a lot of scaffolding in this area. That could be different for different children. But for her, it works really well. It's written to the students, so she has a little checklist that she does. It tells her how many, pages to read. It tells her she has to answer some comprehension questions, which I do think is important because, again, I didn't read every single book she read this year. I don't feel like that's necessary for this child just because she's such an avid reader and we've spent years building up that trust. But just as a check mark for me, she does do the comprehension questions, so I make sure that she is doing the reading, and 2, she's understanding what she's reading. So there's just a couple comprehension questions she would usually answer. How they section off the reading assignments, she could easily do a lot more. It's, maybe a chapter or a chapter and a half, sometimes 2. She could easily read half a book in a day. So it was a very slow pace for her. It was not anything difficult for her. And that's just because language arts comes really natural to this particular child. So I'm going to show you the books that she read this year and what she thought about. So the first one was The Mighty Miss Malone. She enjoyed this book. Holes, she read the book and we watched the movie and compared and contrasted that. She said this one was okay. Number of Stars, she enjoyed that one. She enjoyed Boy, Tales of Childhood. She did not like tripods. She's not really into that, sci-fi type stuff. She enjoyed Brown Girl Dreaming. She really enjoyed the Phantom Tool booth. It kind of reminded her of, a little Michael Clay Thompson flair to it. I Am Malia. She enjoyed that book as well. And again, this is a subject we've covered in social justice, so it was not a new concept to her. And then she just finished up at the end of the year Anne of Green Gables. She did not like this book. She was kind of annoyed about the girls always fussing and, I'm not pretty enough stuff. She's like, Mom, these are not strong female characters. And I was like, okay, I'm sorry. But she was not a fan of the setting. She did like the relationship that was built upon it. She could get into that, but the rest she said was just boring. I was like, okay. But again, I think it's important to have her read literature that she necessarily wouldn't pick up. Some of these books she wouldn't have picked up unless they were assigned. And this kid, like I said, reads a lot, but she reads in very specific genre areas. So I do like having assigned reading. I would definitely say her reading level is far above these, but I think it's good for her to get a different assortment of reading to do. When it comes to grammar, it's quick, easy. She could usually do it independently. There was a handful of times she asked me for help because she didn't understand. And one thing I do really like about lighting literature is it builds upon itself. So you're reviewing concept you learned in previous years, but going a little deeper every single year. So she's really built upon all those things. For example, the poetry units. She really enjoys the poetry units within Lightning Literature, and she even told me that when we were doing the Michael Clay Thompson poetry book, she had gone over a lot of the actual poems being talked about in Michael Clay Thompson through Lightning Literature. She was familiar with them already. So she gobbles up poetry. Poetry is something she really enjoys as well. But again, it was building upon itself each year. She knows all the alliteration, the assonance, the onomatopoeia. She knows all those things. She knows the rhyming pattern. So she is able to really build those skills every year and go a little deeper, but I think it really does provide a good solid foundation. Now when it comes to grammar, I do supplement that just because it's just a sprinkling of grammar. So it's not a lot of practice, and my child, this particular child, benefits from repetitive practice. So she'll do a couple pages of grammar in here. But we also do Michael Clay Thompson to kind of supplement that, just because one, she's on a higher level when it comes to language arts, and two, I want some more repetitive practice than Lightning Literature provides. Now when it comes to the writing assignments, I've talked about how I do this in the past. So during the summer months, we start IEW, and she did this past summer IEW Year 2 Level A. So she started this in the summer, and it brought us into the school year. So she finished this, I believe, October, November. And so that would be the writing assignments. Every week she would do the writing assignment in that. She would not do the writing assignment in Lightning Literature. When she finished IEW, she does, so October, November, she will then start doing the writing assignments in Lightning Literature. And that's just because I don't think Lightning Literature scaffolds the writing well at all, and I think that's across the board. Most people agree with that. So she takes the skills she has learned in IEW, and there's a bunch of different posters and pamphlets that go with IEW that she can reference back to. She will take the writing assignments, because I do think the writing assignments, the topics are good and they always relate to the books, but there's no actual instruction on writing, really. So she takes what she knows from IEW, applies it to the writing assignment, and she spends the rest of the year doing the writing assignments in here. We've done that the last 2 years. It's worked really well for her. It gives her a chance to practice what she's learned in IEW and practice different types of writing, which I think are really important. So that's gone really well. IEW, of course, went really well too. IEW works really well for her brain. She's very structured, very, check mark list type of child. So she responds really well to the scaffolding that IEW provides. So that went well. Other things, I talked briefly about Michael Clay Thompson. So the only thing she had to finish up in Michael Clay Thompson is through the year she was doing the sentence analysis. So this is, Michael Clay Thompson doesn't do sentence diagramming, they do sentence analysis. So you pick out the parts of speech, and then if it's a clause, prepositional phrase, different elements like that, IEW teaches you how to do it. So she worked on that through the entire year. She did, I believe, this is the teacher manual, 1 week, and it worked really well. And again, this was just to practice. I didn't want her to lose those skills she learned from Michael Clay Thompson, and again, I think it supplements Lightning Literature well. And anytime she had sentence diagramming in Lightning Literature, I would have her just, instead of diagramming the sentence, I would have her do the sentence analysis on it, and I could easily figure out, what parts of speech was supposed to be what, but that worked really well. It was a nice supplement to Lightning Literature. And then this is something she actually didn't enjoy. We did Music of the Hemisphere, so this is the Michael Clay Thompson poetry. And again, like I said before, she's gone through third, fourth, fifth, 3 years of poetry with lightning literature. So she is just familiar with all of this already. And again, I told you she talked about how she's already encountered a lot of the poems through lightning literature as well. So she was kind of annoyed. And why are we doing this if I already know it? So we went through that pretty quickly. She did have the opportunity to finish the novel series that Michael Clay Thompson does for the first level. My plan was to actually do that this summer, but we finished lightning literature at the end of April, middle of May, somewhere around there. No, end of April, because it's May now. And she had time to finish those. So we finished those. And again, I really like these. I think they're really well written, especially for a child that reads a ton and is exposed to a lot of literature. A lot of things aimed at her age group aren't really fitting. So I like the language used in here. I like that it's on a higher end level. I like that he has definitions on the bottom of the page if you're unfamiliar with a word. And she just likes that kind of out of the box way of thinking, and I really like the messaging in these. So again, really like Michael Clay Thompson. It's one of the few areas I found that have challenged her because she is just that kind of kid that loves language arts. So another thing we did this year was we switched. One week we do Sadler vocab, and the other week we would do word ladders, and I just printed that off. So Sadler vocab went really well. Again, this is something that we've done wordly-wise in the past, but I think this is actually way better for her. I like that, you kind of give them the context that the words are written in. I don't buy the teacher guides because I can easily tell the answers. I haven't hit vocab yet that I haven't known, but again, I read a lot too. So this worked really well for her. So she did a page a day, and it's vocab exactly at her level, which I think worked really well. The word ladders, again, she did it, but it wasn't anything she was like, oh my God, this is so exciting. But again, I think it helped a little bit with spelling and a little bit of vocabulary as well. So towards the end of the year, she finished Sadler vocab, she finished Michael Clay Thompson, she finished word ladders. I wanted to have her do something over the summer that would practice the concepts she learned in grammar. Because again, I don't want her to forget those. So nothing, long or extensive, but I wanted her to have practice. So we did 2 different things. We trialed out 2 different things. She did 4 weeks of Fix-It Grammar using the free IEW download that you can. I believe it was 4 weeks she got for free. Yes. And I had her do the town mouse and country mouse level, and it was super easy for her. And again, I think because she spent this past year doing Michael Clay Thompson, the sentence analysis, that Fix-It Grammar was pretty similar and pretty easy for her. One thing I did really like about Fix-It Grammar is that it made her rewrite the sentence, because earlier in the year we had trouble with penmanship, and I made her do a handwriting workbook, a 5th grade handwriting workbook, to improve that penmanship because it was just sloppy, and she needed to work more. She needed to be more intentional about that. She's a kid that the thoughts come really quick in her brain, and getting it out, she tries to get it out really quick and it just comes out sloppy. So that 5th grade Handwriting Without Tears workbook did help. I saw a vast improvement with her handwriting for the rest of the year, and I think that was just because she didn't want me to give her another handwriting notebook. So I told her if the handwriting didn't improve, that was what's going to happen, and lo and behold, the handwriting improved. But I did like that she had to rewrite it in Fix-It Grammar because it was a little bit of handwriting practice. I've also noticed that she makes small errors like capitalization where it shouldn't be, and punctuation missing sometimes. So that did help with it, I think, writing. So I did like the Fix-It Grammar. She thought it was pretty easy. It's funny because when we tried it the summer of 3rd grade going into 4th grade, I had her trial out the first level IEW for writing, and I had her trial out Fix-It Grammar at the same time. She did not like Fix-It Grammar at that point. But again, she had no prior grammar exposure because of the public school. So after I provided Michael Clay Thompson and she had lightning literature grammar, Fix-It Grammar is pretty easy for her. But again, I think having those little incremental review opportunities is really important for retention, especially at this age where her brain is kind of finalizing and pruning the areas it's going to keep and the areas it's kind of going to go away. She's got a lot of growth going on, so there's going to be some natural regression. So if I can solidify things in her brain to make it easier for her to access, I'm going to do that. And it's just, 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, nothing too intense. But Fix It Grammar went really well. And then this, recently in May, she's been doing editor-in-chief, and that's what she's working on right now. And again, I think this is a great review of the concepts she's already learned this summer. And this is something she'll be working on this summer. And again, it's not new concepts. I'm not introducing anything new. It's practicing the things she already learned to make sure it's solidified. And we don't have any of that summer slide when we go into the next school year, but we do school year round, so I don't think we're ever going to really have a dramatic slide. But I want to make sure that information is fresh to her. And again, it's not something difficult. I was a little concerned when I introduced editor-in-chief and Fix It Grammar towards the end of the year because we had finished some stuff up, and I was like, oh, is she going to push back on me? And she didn't at all. She gladly took it. I think we've reached a point where she knows I'm not doing anything, just to give her busy work. The things I'm handing her are for a reason and serve a purpose. And there's that mutual trust between us that, this is what you're doing. I've looked into this. I think it would benefit you if we did this. So I don't have a lot of pushback, at least in the second part of the year. I do, of course, get frustration and attitude, but she's 11. That's going to happen. Whether we're homeschooling or not, that's going to happen. So that was the bulk of language arts. And again, that's her area. That's what she loves. So let's go into math. So she finished up Dimensions 4. I believe she started the year with 4A, and she finished up 4B. And this went really well. I was really concerned when we hit fractions that she would have some struggles, but she actually did phenomenal with it, which is funny because I was a child that struggled heavily with fractions. So to see her breeze through it was great. And that's not to say we did not have struggles in math. And I think the problem that a lot of homeschoolers are is when their kids hit something that's hard and it's a struggle, they think something's wrong. And I think there are many opportunities for our kids to grow from that struggle. I was reading a book recently talking about how you always want to aim your teaching a little above where they are, because if they know it already, then they're not learning something new. I think that makes a lot of sense, that I'm always aiming her levels or what I want her to do, my expectations for her, a little above, so she can grow into that. And I think Dimensions has done that really well. There are a couple areas we recently just did area and perimeter, and you think, oh, that's not too bad, but of course Dimensions has to make it really super complicated. I feel like I'm doing like SAT prep with her sometimes, and it's really multi-step, complicated problems, and they're hard, but they're not impossible. And you would think, my daughter has a natural struggle with math. Why would I give her harder concepts? And again, it's not the concept that's harder, it's asking her to grow, to try. All you have to be able to do is try. Everybody has the same ability level in math, despite, if you're a genius, that could be a little different, but the majority of us have the same ability. We can all do higher level math. And that's something I've come to realize over the years of teaching homeschool, is we can all do it. And I think a lot of people, homeschoolers, shy away from math because it requires you as the teacher to try to learn that higher level of math, to really go in there and figure it out. And it's much easier to have a computer teach it or to choose an easier curriculum. But your child can do the harder stuff, and she can. And again, I talked about how she struggles in math, but she was completely capable of doing Dimensions. And when we were doing area and perimeter, there was points where she got really frustrated with it. And I could back off, I could drop the curriculum, I could do something else. Or I could work with her to push through it because she is capable of it. And I know she is capable of it. It's not above her skill level. It's just hard. And that's okay. It's hard, but not impossible. So we worked through those area and perimeter problems a few times together. And then lo and behold, the next week when it took it up a notch and we're doing multi-step problems again in area and perimeter, she was able to do it. She just did the test on the chapter. She got one problem wrong, and she did most of it independently. She had one question for me that I had to clarify what they were asking, but she did it, and she can. And she was so happy with herself, because I think she does kind of get down on herself. I think a lot of her issues with math are just her own self-doubt, her mindset going into it that this is going to be hard or I can't do it. And I think a lot of this has to do with, she's a perfectionist naturally, but also, in public school, K through second grade, it was a very reward-based system. So if you got all the answers right, you got a certain number of jelly beans, and you were praised for what you did right. So she was kind of brought up in this environment, and academics came very easily to her in the public school. So she got this idea that school was easy and that she was really good at it. And when she finally when I brought her home, one of the reasons we brought her home in third grade was to challenge her, because that's something that wasn't happening in public school. So when she finally was challenged, she kind of had this identity crisis of, am I really smart if I can't do this right away? So we've been working on that, and that's an ongoing thing. And I think it will be probably an ongoing thing for this child in particular, just because of, how she is. But it's okay that it's hard. They can still do it. It might take more work on your end and patience, but they can get through it. So math went well. I'm pleased where she is. I was really excited to see her get through those harder struggle parts and persevere and be so proud of herself in the end. One thing I did add in this year, though, towards the end of the year, is I noticed that she was making some, in her multi-level step calculations of dimensions problems, she was making simple mathematical errors. And it's not because she didn't know, her times tables or her addition or anything. It's just she was going so quick. I needed to slow her down, and she needed to think about it. Especially since dimensions is so, complicated, easy answers make her suspicious. So I brought in Math Mammoth Review. They have the option of grade level review, and I got it first through seventh grade, and I've been using it with my 7-year-old as well. And it's just a sheet a day, looks like this, and it's just practicing concepts she already knows. So she's doing a little bit of addition, she's doing a little bit of subtraction, multiplication, division, she's doing order of operations, that type of thing. So it's just a quick review, and that's something she does independently when I'm working with my other kids in the morning. And it's helped. I have noticed a significant reduction in those small errors, because again, she just needs small incremental practice. Something I've really learned about the brain, especially as she's hitting these teenage years, small incremental practice is really beneficial to her brain, and she didn't push back on me with that, which I was really surprised. I thought she was going to give me some attitude when I introduced Fix-It Grammar, Editor-in-Chief, and Math Mammoth Review, but she went with it. She's like, okay, let's do this, because again, that trust exists between us, and I'm like, this is something I've noticed in your math that needs to improve. I'd like you to do this, and lo and behold, she has noticed herself the improvement. So math has gone well, but it did have its struggles this year. The other thing she had her doing for her health unit, she was doing puberty, and we went over different puberty books this year. So really quick, we did hair in funny places. I think the other one we did, It's So Amazing. It's upstairs right now. My son is sleeping, so I'm not going to go get that, but that went really well. And again, I'm not just handing my child these books and letting her read them. She reads them, and then we discuss them after every time she's done reading. She did the Care and Keeping of You 2 with the journal. I much prefer this one over the regular Care and Keeping of You, the first one. And then she just ended the year with Celebrate Your Body, the ultimate puberty book for girls. This was really good too, brought up some great conversations. Recently, we ended the book talking about, different options females have on their period. And I brought up all the options, and I showed her the different options. My 7 and my 4-year-old were there too, and we just had a really good discussion. And I love that we can have that open communication, that it's not weird or taboo. Half the population gets a period. Let's stop acting like it's weird, or we have to not talk about it. So I'm glad that she's open to talk to me, her dad, people about these things, and even my 7 and 4-year-old are learning information. I think it's important to not make it such a big deal. Growing up, puberty, it's all part of life. So that went really well. We did finish those. And what we didn't finish this year will continue into next year. And again, I didn't anticipate us finishing every single puberty book I picked out for this year. So next year we will continue with Uology. be period positive, and we'll do the final book in that series that it's perfectly normal. So we'll continue that into next year. But again, really good discussion. I think, especially in that 5th grade struggles, we talked about how, hormones have definitely played a part in this year. And the fact that she's reading about it and knowing what's going on with her body does help a little. Doesn't make the, hormonal outbursts go away. No, but having a little bit of understanding why you feel so irritated and crazy is helpful to all of us. So what else did she do? She did typing this year. Again, she used, the typing.com free. It's going really well this year. She was inspired to write her own fan fiction. She finished the Endling series, which is her favorite book series by Catherine Applegate. Again, I think this was introduced to us through Torchlight in a previous year. Although there are Catherine Applegate books in Lightning Literature. That's her favorite author. She didn't like how it ended, so she started writing her own ending to the book, and it ended up being like 15 chapters, I believe, and she would work on it on her free time. And again, she was using those skills she learned from IEW, and it was really well written. I liked it was so passionate and emotional. It's just so interesting to see at this age all these feelings come out. It was really good. So her typing skills have drastically improved because she was actually physically working on typing almost on a daily basis for fun. She also did Hoffman Academy this past year, and I have just the printouts from that here. I believe she got halfway through the 3rd unit, and it went really well. The video instructions, I think, are really good. I do like the music theory sheets it has. She did not like the games that were integrated into it. She thought they were kind of boring and kind of little kiddish, and I can get that. And she didn't like how the app, or she wished that there was an app for it opposed to, because we would put our tablet on the computer, or she'd put her tablet on the piano to do the lesson, and sometimes it just didn't work very well. It would have been easier if it was like an app access. I do like how it had it, because we did the paid version. It did have it so, you click on the next activity, so it kind of tells you what to do every step of the way. But that being said, we will not continue it next year, and that's because the program wasn't good or anything, but they upped the price pretty significantly. And yes, it's still cheaper than private piano lessons. I did look that up. It's still cheaper, but it's still a big chunk of change. And I feel like where she's at her level, it'd be really easy to just continue with the free YouTube lessons provided by Hoffman Academy. That's actually what I use to learn piano, and buy a music theory workbook for, a couple bucks off Amazon. I think that's more cost effective in the long run. And again, if she's someone that wants to, long-term piano play, I could see going back to it. But right now, because it's just an interest and hobby, we're not going to continue the subscription. But it went well, and she learned piano, which is the point of it. Another thing she did this year is we did Lego Coding Club, and this was a program offered by us to the library for homeschoolers, and we spent the entire year learning coding and how to code Legos and make them move and everything. And there was a director, and he taught the kids, and it was really cool because I know absolutely nothing about coding, or really Legos. And to have someone else be able to instruct that and my kids benefit from it was really awesome. So they spent a year kind of learning different techniques and different coding, and then they got to kind of make a storyboard and had a presentation to judges. So we went to a Lego competition, so kind of like Lego Masters. And I was really proud of my daughter. She's definitely more of a quiet child by nature, but she had absolutely no problem, taking the microphone and talking to the judges and explaining their build. And it was very natural for her, and she really enjoyed presenting their build and talking about it. And she had fun because her friends were there too. So it was a really awesome opportunity. Unfortunately, next year she will be too old to be in the age group she was in this year, and there aren't enough kids in her age group to do the next level, which is so the story of our homeschooling, that she's 11, and homeschooling isn't really popular in my area, and when it is, the only few homeschoolers there are that are middle school, high school level, definitely lean towards the more conservative Christian, which just isn't my jam. So finding her age level groupings has been difficult, and it's something I think I will continue to have difficulty through the years. Something else she did this year, her activity of choice was horseback riding, and she's been doing that for a year and a half. Really enjoyed it. Again, I think it helps with that confidence. She's a more quiet child, but she has no problem, commanding a full-size horse. And the instructor's really good. She was a previous teacher for 30 odd years. So we just have really good conversation. It's something she's really enjoyed. She started to canter and trot with the horse, and just seeing all this progress come together has been really cool with her. She's really coming into her own identity, and I think this is what these middle school years are all about: exploring different identities, exploring who she is, what things she likes. And yeah, are we gonna have some craziness with that too? Absolutely, but that's expected for that age. And to again calm myself down and remember that these little flare-ups of attitude are normal. Now, I've done a really good job scaffolding her and prepared her as best I can, but she still has room to wiggle and figure out who she is in a safe, loving, accepting environment. So this year has gone really well. I've definitely seen, that growth, not just physically, because again, she's almost my height, but, academically, she's been challenged. She's grown in math, she's grown in language arts. And personally, in her friendship, she's done a lot of growth this year. And I have a feeling the middle school years will continue to see this, exponential growth that she's going to go. And it's really cool. Although I have to say, she's becoming a bad influence on me, because she's now like, oh, Mom, let's go get a coffee, or Mom, let's get sushi tonight. So she's becoming a bad influence on me. Like, no, we're not going to get sushi tonight. I have a meal planned. So if you have any questions about anything I talked about here, leave them in the comments below. If not, thank you for watching.